Yes, you're quite right. This is going to be a good watch.
Gary and I are around the same age, so
Yeah, but let's be honest.
Whilst I was, yeah, we're all the same age. Whilst I
Yeah, but
was,
look at the difference between how well, you'll see chat when he comes on.
Yeah, I had all paper around there. He was playing football. Come on.
This is a lesson in lifestyle management when you see how fit Gary looks. Okay, I'm not going to keep you any longer. You're not here to see me or Ant. You're here to see this man. Gary Mills. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. More importantly, thank you for the 2 stars. I've never said that before, and I may never say it again, but thank you for the 2 stars.
No, it's an
I appreciate it.
Thank you for me.
It's an absolute pleasure. I don't know. It's just, even as a player, you feel that I should be thanking you, the supporters, and because we're together on that.
If you can remember Micah Richards, can you remember his famous, he flies around TikTok all the time, where he says how he burst onto the scene and then Roy Keane rips him to pieces about bursting onto the scene. But Gary, you really did burst onto the scene, didn't you? Making your first team debut at 16?
Correct, yeah, 16.
Which is ridiculous. What happened before 16? How did you get picked up by Forest?
I was 13, and back in those days, you used to have scouts around the country. And Forest had this scout that Nick Turner, his name was. Never forget him because he's the one who started it for me. I was playing for my junior side, Long Buckby, a team called Long Buckby, and he just pulled me after the game and said, "Is your mum and dad here? I'd like you to come up and have a trial." And I was 13. And so, cut a long story short, I came up for a trial, and within 6 months, turning 14, I was playing in the Central League.
In the Reserve Central League.
The Reserve Central League, which, if we're talking about we're the same age, Anthony. We can remember, or you can remember, the Central League, which was a fantastic league, and used to play on a Saturday afternoon on the main grounds when the opposing team were away from home, the actual first team. So I was playing at Old Trafford, I was playing, Main Road, I was playing Anfield at 14. I can remember the gaffer, calling me from the stand or shouting to me from the stand. It was a new introduction of what he was like to me at 14, but it wasn't things you would tend to hear as a 14, be soft on him or anything like that. Anyway, I come in at half time, and he got his hand and grabbed me where you don't want to be grabbed, and said something something along the lines of, "If you don't pass the ball, son, then I'll chop these off." And I was 14, and so I remember going out for the second half, and remember Sean Hazelgrave, who played Forest those years ago. I passed the ball inside the box to him, and I heard from the stand was the gaffer again, "That's how you play." And
I mean, managers wouldn't dare talk to basically kids like that nowadays, would they? They wouldn't dare,
They couldn't get away with it.
Be in the office the next day.
They wouldn't dare, and they wouldn't allow it now, like you say. At 16, it turned me into, his words, a young man, rather than a boy. Which enabled me to make my debut against Arsenal at the age of 16, and which, by the way, was my team I supported as a boy. So I was actually playing.
No. I thought you'd be like a Northampton fan or something.
Well, I was a Northampton fan, but we all.
You need a proper team.
Well, my dad played for Northampton all his life. My dad was a professional. There was 2 pitches down the old training ground by the side of the Trent, and I was on the one pitch with the youth lads training and playing this game, and the first team were on the other pitch. And he stopped both games and said, "Oi, you young man, get your arse over here." And I went and played in the first team practice game on the training field, where Larry Lloyd made it clear. Well, I went past Larry Lloyd. I was very quick back then. And I went past Larry Lloyd once.
You look a bit quick now, to be fair.
Look, no, believe me, I'm not. And I tried to go past him again, and he kicked me up in the air like you would not believe, and looked down at me, and using the F words, sort of said, "You can do that again."
Yeah.
And it's not until quite recently, actually, because I've never really, I have mentioned it and stuff like that, that the gaffer had told Lloydie to actually do that.
So you've had a long career. You've mentioned a fantastic Clough story already, but what were the players like? You know, when you were that age on the pitch, were they supportive? Did they treat you as the same age as them? You know, did they treat you any differently? Did they look after you?
They looked after me, but in a way that when you say look after, you know, it's not wrap me in cotton wool. It was, you know, if I didn't do what I should have been doing on the field, then they let me know, and that was looking after me. I'm just looking at one of the tricky Mickey. Kenny Burns doesn't mess around. He certainly didn't mess around with me. He used to kick me, and he lifted me up in the shower room. I took my feet off the floor literally because he blamed me for one of his bookings, and he chased me around the training field for about 6 months, and I was confident anyway. I'd had an unbelievable childhood as I played for England schoolboys. I played for England schoolboys at rugby as well. You know, and I had an unbelievable time in 1977 where I scored a goal at Wembley, and I scored a try at Twickenham, like a mock play.
That's one of my questions down the pan then.
Oh, sorry.
Answer that question for you.
You carry on.
I talk too much, you see. And I was quick, like I say, and I got to the final of the All England 100 metres as well, where I finished 6th.
Oh my goodness, you were quick.
And that was the same year. Come to Nottingham from the age of 14, and come to Nottingham to live from the age of 16. Married my wife Sue, Nottingham girl, and I still live here. I love the city, and
Yeah, I was going to say, was there a time when you had to make a choice? Because, like you say, you scored a try at Twickenham, didn't you, for England boys? The same year you scored a goal at Wembley for England boys. Yeah. Was there a time when you had to make a decision whether to go down the rugby route or down the football route?
No, there was never. I
don't blame you.
Did you marry the girl who was waiting at the airport after the Madrid game, Sue?
No.
Okay. Martin, you've just dropped him right in there.
We'll move on from that.
Sorry, Sue. It wasn't you. Sorry, I've just got to Gary, you've got to keep an eye on the chat because this is the funniest chat on YouTube. Seriously. We'll talk about this later, but I just want to mention it now. You've got a book out called Young Millsy.
Yeah.
Where did that name come from? Who penned that? Because that kind of sounds like a Clough thing to me. And I can't do the Clough. I'm probably the only person on the planet that can't do a Brian Clough impression. So
have a go.
Young Millsy.
That's not
No, the chat's going to rip me now. Don't worry.
That's not bad. Just that, really. You know.
Was it Clough?
Yeah. You know, a young man, young Millsy, and because I started so young. Even, you know, my teammates, hey, young Millsy, go and get me a drink, young Mills. So it was always young Mills, and even now when we meet up, I'm obviously still the young Millsy.
Yeah.
And you're the youngest, you're young Millsy. Go and get the lads a drink, you know. And this is like only last year, so some of them are in the 70s now. I'm in my 60s, and but I'm still known. So there was only one title that was going to be my book to be.
Stop giving my age away.
Oh, sorry, Anthony.
Look, Gary, this is what our chat's like, right? This is what. Can you see all this? Dino sounding like a Dalek. I mean, that's not bad. Stoney, I love you, but never do that impression again. Look, honestly, it's actually just what. It's actually just worth watching this channel just for the chat. I mean, they're more entertaining than we are, to be honest. You've talked about Clough already and how he handled you, but what about Peter Taylor? What impact did he have?
On a personal note, Peter Taylor was fantastic for me. And if I'm going to be quite honest, I think Peter Taylor was more me than probably what the gaffer was. Peter Taylor liked me as a player. I think he liked me as a person, and he sort of made that clear to me.
Which of the two, Larry Lord or Kenny Burns, would you say was the dirtiest or hardest or whatever? Can you pick between the two?
I think, how would I describe Burnsy? Burnsy was like, you'd get put down. You get 25 years now for some of the things he used to do on the field. on a field, there was no messing. Whereas Larry was dirty, but I think sometimes Larry wasn't quite as quick as Kenny, and I think sometimes players had to go because he couldn't keep up with them at times. But reading the game, both of them, and what they had together, and the chats they have, that you can only have so many bookings, and when they wanted to sort a striker out, they used to say, how many bookings are you on? And he used to go, I'm on 5. Well, I'm going to have to get him today then, because I'm only on 3. We were never coached on any training session at Forest, as in we never done one corner, we never done one free kick, we never practiced anything like that. We just had to know our jobs and our positions that we played. And, many times the gaffer would remind the centre halves, I pay you to head the ball. So when the ball comes into our box, head the ball out of our box. And he used to say to the strikers, Gary Birtle's me mate, and whoever the strikers were, I pay you to head the ball in the goal. Now head the ball in the goal. And that was the coaching, that was it. I made a big mistake once, because coaching was a word never used at Forest in our day. And I played for England schoolboys, yes, England youth, yes, and England under 21s. And when I played for England under 21s, Terry Venables got the job as the 21s manager. So off I went to play for the 21s, and you go away for a few days, and I come back, and I'm sitting in the dressing room, and the gaffer walks in, and he went, hello, son, how did you get on? Was it good? And I said, yeah, the coaching was good, gaffer. He went, coaching? I'll give you effing coaching. Get a ball and come out on that field with me now. And I said, so I had to get a ball, and he took me on the city ground, right? And he went, right, I'll teach you effing coaching. And he threw a ball to me, to my feet from a throw, and he went, where did that ball end up? I said, my feet. He says, that's how you throw a ball. That's coaching. Now get over there with the ball. And he passed the ball to me, to my feet, and he went, what have I just done? I said, pass the ball to my feet, boss. He went, now pass the ball to his feet. And he went, that's effing coaching. And I must have been on there a good half an hour. He went through everything, heading, everything. That's effing coaching. That's effing coaching. Now F off when he'd finished with me. Never talk about coaching to me ever again.
Do you think football's too complicated now in terms of, my opinion, and I think Ant shares the same opinion, but they're sending players out with 1,000,001 instructions, and it dampens the freedom down. Yeah. I think there was a comment earlier from Samir. No, not that one. Somebody said, just do the basics. I can't remember who it was. Sorry, whoever did that. Cover the basics. Thank you. It was Samir.
Yeah.
So what? Because you've managed as well, which we'll come on to.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's your opinion of modern football today?
Yeah, you're 100%. Overcomplicate things. Everything was simple, basic when we played, and with that, we had to work hard and do our jobs. My job when I first started on the right was to go past the player and cross the ball. When the ball was coming in from the other side from Robbo, I had to be at the far post. When the other team were attacking, I had to be doubling up with Viv Anderson to back him up. and that was my job.
And they were the instructions. That was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. Nothing else. Peter Taylor and the gaffer never spoke about the opposition. Now, I've been in dressing rooms as a player later on in my career where they fill the wall about the opposition.
I think they all do now, don't they? I think
they all do. And you get sheets of paper about who you're playing against and how good he is and what he can do. And it was never about the opposition. It was never about how good the player was who was playing. The gaffer would know how good he was, but would never tell us that. He would tell us how good we were. He would make it clear how good we were, what we were good at. And we never spoke about the opposition, not once. Not once. I remember talking about, right, when we play, I don't know, Spurs tomorrow, this is how they play, this is how they set up, it was all about us. So we could have been playing anybody on the Saturday. It didn't matter. Keep it simple. Don't try and be clever because you got your coaching badges and all this. Don't complicate it for your players. Don't complicate it for your team. And go and play the way you play. You know, it is a simple game, a basic game that's now made.
It can be
complicated. I don't enjoy seeing the ball being passed around the back. I don't, because I was a winger, and I see a player actually go past a player, which is very rare. And don't cross the ball and come back and give it the fullback. Then it goes back to the centre half, and then back to the goalkeeper when they could have crossed the ball. I'm like, oh, I'm like,
that's one of our frustrations this season, to be honest. So much passing around at the back, it drives us absolutely.
Yeah, but it's everywhere, isn't it? You know, every team. Every team. I remember watching Forest when they were in the Championship a couple of years ago now, and they were losing a game. The game was 1-0, losing the game 1-0, and it was like the 89th minute, and we had got a free kick on the halfway line, and I was going, go on, get everybody up there, get the centre halves up there, go on, and I put the ball down and went back to the goalkeeper, and I actually switched the telly off because I was like, how the hell are you going to get back in this? People say now, you know, how we weren't as fit then and all this and all. You know, we were fit. Look how many games we played. We were fit, and
small squad as well, Gary.
Yeah, we never talked about being tired. We never spoke about that. And listen, there's some good things now. But I say, look, if you think we weren't fit enough, we could get fitter. Then how good these players that I played with, how good would they have been then if they could have even got fitter than what they were? So
what about this comment from Mark here? 4-4-2. Do you think that could live in the Premier League?
They play it occasionally, but you know, very well. Not very often. Not very often. I think 4-4-2 works in the Premier League now because they like to flood the midfield, don't they? You know, they like to put a lot of bodies into the middle of the park. Do I enjoy watching the goalkeeper give it the centre half in the 6-yard box and a goal kick? And then there've been 6 passes in the 18-yard box. You know, before it goes forward into the opposition's half. Eventually, sometimes it doesn't. You don't even get out of their own half, and I just find it amazing that they do that. And I don't enjoy watching that. No, I don't.
I think part of the problem is that entertainment's been overtaken by money, and teams are so afraid of losing these days that they just didn't play attacking, attractive football. I mean, we've been crying out. We on this channel have been crying out all season for us to, you know, away from home, for example, we have a shocking record away from home.
Yeah.
And we play defensively away from home. You think, well, you're getting beat anyway, so why not just have a go? And that will surprise the hell out of the opposition for a start because they must think, oh, well, it's just Forest. They're not going to attack. We're okay. You know, we're playing Leeds away, for example, game after next. For me, that's the ideal opportunity to think, right, we keep losing away from home. Let's go to Leeds and let's have a go. And if we lose, we're no worse off.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what we were doing, particularly early on, and you know, playing safe. You know, we had Johnson out on the right, and then whoever it was down the middle, and then whoever it was on the left, but never came off the line. And when you got pace that Johnson's got, and our left back's got the ball, then come and make a run inside the striker. But Johnson was always, Brennan was always seemed to be stuck out on the right, because if we lost the ball, then they're afraid that the opposition were going to get down the left flank against us, and we don't do that as much now. We don't do that as much. But when I was watching that, I was thinking, we're never going to win a game. We're never going to go and hurt teams. It's a tough old league. We know that. I've got to. If you're going to come up to a question in a bit, I've got to stay up by a point. By the way, that's the way I'm looking at it.
We've all done. I mean, there's 4 of us done it. Ez, Ant, myself, and Wolverine. We've all done it. And Wolverine, you've got us going down, my friend, and the rest of us are
Wolverine. He's such an idiot, honestly.
He is an idiot. That's why
I don't know him, but
that's why he's in the background now. Now, for the younger members, the European Cup in the old days. I'm sorry, I've got to do that.
Champions.
In my day, you had to win the league to qualify for the European Cup. None of this top 4 rubbish. You had to win your league. So it was literally the elite of every club in Europe. And then it was pretty much a straight race all the way to the final, wasn't it, Gary?
Yeah.
Now, as we mentioned earlier, you kind of, by the age of 18, you had 2 European Cups under your belt. How on earth did you cope with that at that sort of age?
I wasn't nervous. I'd become such a part of that squad, because they knew that when I did play, that I had to be as good as whoever was playing in that shirt before me. I ended up playing down the middle when sort of Trevor got his horrific injury with his Achilles, and it opened the door for me. That was a time, you talk about Peter Taylor, that was the time Peter Taylor made it obvious to me that I was going to be the one that was going to go and play in the final in Madrid. Stan Bowles was mentioned.
Stan Bowles.
Stan decided not to turn up, so that
I remember that. I actually remember that. Can you remember that?
So we had no chance, had he,
What happened there? I remember that.
He just decided he couldn't be bothered.
You know what he done though, which is brilliant. We had a 25-year reunion, but he turned up for that.
Not the European Cup.
Wasn't it? That's why.
So he was. I think he's the only man who didn't turn up for the game, but turned up for the 25-year reunion. People say, and say to me this day, we've watched it, say, we weren't that good on the day, were we? And I go, that was probably one of our best performances.
That was fantastic.
Because it's not, it's not all about attack. The art of defending, you'll never get a better defensive display than ours that day.
A lot of people, when they look back, Gary, they will talk about, like, so Robbo, people, Trevor Francis or whatever, yourself, and they look at that side of it. But that side was built on that defence, wasn't it? I mean, as a Forest player, it must be great to know that you got Burns and Lloyd back there, for a start, and with Anderson, and Shilton in goal. I mean, come on, it must give you so much freedom to know that they're back there.
We went on holiday for a week before the cup final to Mallorca, and we never trained once, and then
for the European Cup final. Yes,
we went to Mallorca for a week in Calamalor and never trained once.
That's just it.
And we then flew out to Madrid. We flew out to Madrid, and we hardly trained. And then one day, Peter Shilton lost it and said to the gaffer, "I've had enough. We haven't trained. We've done blah blah blah." He says, "You want to train, Peter?" He said, "Young Millsy, get that bag of balls, son, and go and train Peter there." And that there was a roundabout. You've heard that. There was a roundabout that I was volleying balls to Peter Shilton on the middle of a roundabout in Madrid, and cars were going around this roundabout. And you watch Peter Shilton that night in Madrid, the saves he made, and
Yeah.
you know.
How long
So
have you been out there for, dare I ask?
what would you say?
I wonder what Hamburg were doing at the same time. I bet they
Yeah.
weren't volleying balls into roundabouts.
Because we've created this little scene for you where you've got your own screen. Because I would like you to show our lovely chat your European Cup Winners' Medal, if you would. Oh, don't freeze now.
Yeah,
He's
go
gone.
back.
No connection. He's going. You know what? That's that is such a bad time.
I'm prepared to show
lose.
my cycle proficiency test certificate if that I got about the same age, if that's any good.
You can do. I think you should put that. I'll put you on big screen, mate, and you can show your cycle proficiency test.
Gary's back.
He's back.
We're back.
Right. Should we try that?
Yeah.
Let's try that on small screen. Right. Okay. Because it might
Yeah,
be the big
right.
screen that's messed that up. Let's just leave it as it is. Sorry. Could you show that again, please?
Well, that's in the case.
Can you all see
Get out
that?
the
Can you all
case.
see that? Okay.
It's freezing for me, is it? There we go. There we go. There we go.
There you go. Yeah. See
So,
that?
How much
That's
you want
what
for
it
it,
looks
Gary?
like, guys and girls.
How much you want for it, Gary? I've got a tenner going spare.
What does it say on it, Gary?
I don't think you can hear us, can you?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my God, that is class. Look at the comments. Look, come on, get the comments in, guys. It's not often you'll see one of those. There you go.
Don't mind me kissing it.
That's it
again,
over, Gary. Good.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Right. Okay. So I don't know how we follow that, the European days, but we're going to talk about. Well, let's talk about. Not many people might know this, but you were Mr. East Midlands, weren't you? I don't know whether you didn't have a car and you just caught the bus everywhere, but you kind of played for every East Midlands sub. Whether it's because you didn't want to like move far and things like that, whether it was Sue or whatever. But you ended up playing for Notts twice, Forest twice, Leicester for 200 games. I
Lost
didn't
you
know
again,
that.
sorry.
Oh, you mentioned Leicester, didn't you? You had to mention Leicester.
Yeah.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
it must be catching up for a reason. You keep mentioning other clubs, don't you?
Yeah. Okay. Let me rephrase this then. You played for all the East Midlands clubs, some on a couple of occasions, and one for 200 appearances. Why? Why did you not like travelling, or?
I love living in Nottingham. I don't like travelling.
Told you. I knew it.
I played for the clubs, and I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah.
You know, playing for the other clubs, and you know, success-wise, certainly at Leicester, where I captained them, and we played at Wembley 3 playoff finals and got into the Premier League by beating Derby.
Get in.
I just thought I'd bring that up.
You'd redeem yourself.
Plus, I played for Derby.
Yeah, we forgive you.
I played for Derby for 6 months on loan. I thought I'd get that one in.
I know you did, but we weren't
6 months on loan.
we weren't going to mention that. Can I ask you a quick question, Gary? You know, when you went to Leicester, you know, when you first started at Leicester, was there any issues with the fans? With you being obviously an ex-Forest player, did it take time to win them over, or were they fine about it?
I think. Question. Yeah, it is a good question. I think initially, I think even you as the player feel that a little bit, that you've got to win them over, you know, and the only way you can win them over is being who you are. And you know, I always like to class myself that I was a good professional and I worked hard, and you know, and I'd come from Forest where there was discipline, and I went to play. David Pleat signed me at Leicester. And obviously David was involved at Forest. You know, he like took me to Leicester, and he was talking to me about Brian Clough. He wanted to know things, and he'd say, "Gary, come here. I need to ask you. We've just lost 2-0. What would Brian Clough do now?" I said, "Give us 4 days off, David." Oh, Gary.
And double the money.
Give give us 4 days off. He'd say, be serious, Gary. I said, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I said, he'd give us 4 days off. He'd say it'd take us away from the result and then come in and not even mention it, and we'd go on to the next game.
Yeah, I know they're very fond of you at Leicester, but I would imagine that you can't walk anywhere in the East Midlands without somebody recognising you.
Well, I'll go shopping in Mansfield.
There you go. Oh, no, they're all going to stalk you now. You've had a couple of quite bad injuries, haven't you? You've broken your leg twice.
Well, the first one was horrific. The first one was it was. I went to play in America for 2 seasons. Then the second season, I got married to Sue in between because I was going back, and I think my proposal was, why don't we just get married and come out with me? And I think that was.
Oh, you romantic thing, you.
Said, yeah, so I know.
And she's still with you. I don't know.
Yeah, we're actually it was our 40th wedding anniversary last week.
Wow.
Congrats.
It's incredible.
40 years.
Yeah.
So, and when I went back to America the second year, Alan Hinton had lost his job, and I got another manager. And after the second game, we played Vancouver Whitecaps, and Dave Watson, old Sunderland centre half, England centre half, made a challenge with me, and I went over, and my leg didn't belong to me. It just didn't belong to me. My foot was nowhere near my leg. It was horrific. But anyway, it took me a full year to get over that, which I did. But I say this, and I mean this. I was 20 when that happened, and it made me sort of think, listen, this is my life. I'm not taking anything. I had the 2 European Cups. I had England at every sort of level by then. And I wanted more, and this wasn't going to stop me. And I worked hard. Just a moment. I might have it in my drawer. Just 1 second.
Okay.
That's not the metal bit.
Sing us a song. Sing us a song.
Do you really want
Champions of Europe, you'll never sing that. That's my favourite song. I think
I will tell you something. I very vividly remember being at the City Ground when Nottingham Forest played Vancouver Whitecaps that Gary just mentioned in a friendly. We beat them 17-1.
17-1.
It's
got his crowbar.
Look at that.
Right, that saved my career, so I've kept it. Because when I was in America,
that was in your leg.
That was in my leg. Yeah, that was in
what?
Put down the middle of my tibia.
Yeah, well, I had a splinter yesterday. And it bloody hurt.
I can't believe that you ran round with that. When?
Yeah. So when over here at the time, they used to do in the side of you when you broke your leg here. What they call them? Sorry, I've lost my. But in America, this is how they. This is what they do, And so
it's not. It doesn't bend or anything, is it?
No, solid. So that. If I put my leg up, went down. So that goes from my knee to my. I don't know if you can see. Oh, I pulled my hamstring now.
Oh no.
Knee to my ankle, So
that's so funny.
When I started playing, and I wasn't joking. When I started back playing again, the doctor at the time at Forest said, "Look, I'm not happy you playing with this rod in your leg, because if you break it with that in there, we've got big problems."
Yeah.
So thanks to Graham Sharp at Everton, when he broke my left leg up at Everton, when I broke that one, they said, right, we'll take the pin out the other one. We'll take the rod out the other one, not the pin. And that's what they've done, and I've kept that ever since.
You washed it.
That deserves a kiss as well. No, I haven't washed it, actually.
Well, you know what, as well. I mean, the way I look at it is that we're a part of a fairy tale. We you more than others, obviously, but no, actually, no, that's not. I won't say that.
Stoney's comment up again.
For me, as a fan, it was a magical time as well.
Yeah.
And we went from a middle of the table second division side to double European Cup win. I'm getting emotional. Double European Cup winners and league champions. With the Super League, that would never happen, and that's what they wanted to take away. And that to me is absolutely against everything that football in this country stands for.
It annoys me. It annoys me now that fans don't get near the players in the Premier League to say hello and, you know, can I shake your hand? Can I just say hello to you? Can I touch you? Can I have an autograph? Can I have a photo? They don't get the chance to do that. It's wrong.
Can I squeeze your balls, Gary?
It's totally wrong. Say it again?
Can I squeeze your balls like Cloughy did all those years ago?
Yeah, it'd probably get put down 10 years now. I bet you get away with it now.
Yeah, I mean, players now, you see them coming off the coaches, don't you? And they have headphones in, cap on, down like that, walk straight past all the fans that have been waiting hours and just disappear. And that's the closest that fans will get to them. When I was a kid, I mean, queuing up with your little autograph book outside the changing rooms after the game, that was a normal thing for us to do, you know.
Yeah.
And it was great. It brought you into football. It made you love the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was magical. You know, it's magical. And why take that magic away? Why money? You know, for the younger element now at Forest and that, please watch as many games as you can from that era on bogs of pitches. As well. You know, don't forget that. You know, we used to play good football on horrendous. They wouldn't even. They'd call the games off these days, wouldn't they? You know.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, some of the pitches were on. Even the City Ground. The City Ground now is like a carpet. But I mean, the game I remember very vividly for the pitch was the 3-3 against Cologne, where the pitch was like 8-inch of mud. You know. But I was going to ask you as well. I've disappeared. I'm about I was going to ask you, what was the feeling in the dressing room when Forest signed Trevor Francis? You know, first £1 million player. You know, what was the feeling in the dressing room? Were they excited by it, or were they thinking, "Oh, you know, here comes Billy Big Bollocks"? Or how did most of the guys sort of feel at that time?
Yeah, look, he was soon, you know, brought back down to earth. You know,
played in an A-team game, didn't he?
He played in I played in that game.
Did you?
I played in that game. Yeah, we played. We played this youth game. He said, "Trevor, I want you tomorrow. You're playing for the youth team." And it's like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, don't be late, son." And Trevor come and we were playing, and the gaffer turned up about a quarter of an hour late into the game. And as he got there, he walked onto the pitch and stopped the game. And the ref says, "Excuse me, Mr. Clough, you know, what you doing?" He went, "I'll tell you what I'm doing. I just paid a little bit of money for that man there, and he's got no shin pads on. Now you, Francis, where's your shin pads? Has anybody got any shin pads? This man can borrow, please." And they had to find some shin pads for Trevor to wear, because I paid £1 million for you and you don't wear shin pads.
You know, I told you our chat, Gary. I mean, you know, Nathan, obviously.
Yeah.
Look at this. Like, they're now like puffing the chest out who's got the worst injury, right? So we've got Nathan, we've got Martin. Who else? We've got Pat. Anyone else?
I mean, honestly,
Stoney.
Here, I mean,
here you go, Simon F.
Full of cyborgs.
I feel ashamed that I've even shown that now. It's like, did you ever watch the film Jaws? Did you watch Jaws?
Of course.
Yeah, when they're comparing scars.
They showed the scars and he lifted his. I feel a bit like that with that now.
All the wingers are inverted now, aren't they? You know, you get a left footer's playing on the right footer's playing on the left, coming inside all the time. There's very few that go past players now.
I'll tell you who winds me up more than anybody, Jack Grealish, because I've never known a man who gets the ball in wide positions, even 1v1s, and the ball ends up going back to his fullback or the.
Yeah. It's a Gary rant. That's what we want. We always have the ant rants every week. Now we've got a Gary rant. Andy Porter says, Gary, do you still go to any of the Forest games, and what would be your best one you've seen?
We can't get any tickets, so you know we have to buy our tickets if we want to go, sort of thing. Not that we shouldn't. I don't want that, you know, but but we
Well, you got a European Cup winners medal, so
yeah, it'd be nice to get a ticket. But
I'll let you off there.
I have to agree with that. I think you should be given tickets.
Yeah.
You're a Forest legend, mate. You should be given tickets.
yeah,
It's
you've said it, Ant. I haven't now, but so
And I'll say it as well.
yeah, I've enjoyed it more now. I just at the beginning of the season, and we all know the influx of players, and it was going to take time and all that. And I was just a bit disappointed the way we sort of set up not to lose, and and people at the time were going, well, there's only one thing going to happen here. We're going straight back down, sort of thing. And then we got a bit more positive, as in, we started to put a run together and got us to where we've got to. And it's in our hands to stay up still. We're not in that bottom three.
Would you do anything different if you were the manager of Forest now with the current squad? What would you do differently?
Well, I would set up how Steve set up, as in formation wise. So like the 4-3-3 that he sort of set up a lot with, and I set up that with my teams. But I used to give my players a right rollicking if they didn't come off the line and go and make the runs, and if the ball got cut out, then the other striker would drop in for them, and that's how I used to play, and because of that, I was going to Brennan or Lingard, who was playing on the left at times occasionally, or whoever was playing there, was go on, make those runs. We've got to go and hurt. We've got to go and hurt side. So that's I would have played the same 4-3-3, but a bit more positive in it. But whether that's because I've got no points at stake by saying that, I don't know. I've knees are no problem whatsoever. I've never had a problem with my knees. I've had one new hip, but I played till I was 48, non-league. So I sort of player manager. So I kept myself so fit.
Get him off! Get him off!
Sam, I'm becoming sick of you now.
Yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't even climb the stairs at that age. Seriously.
I was just saying, since 50, I made myself unfit.
Yeah.
Boy, have I enjoyed that as well.
Yes.
That's been lovely.
Is that why we're seeing you from the neck up? Go get your charger, Millsy. Yeah, I'll talk about your book. Okay, we don't want him to die on us again. So, Young Millsy is Gary Mills's book of his career and into his management career as well. And we're actually doing a giveaway. So Gary's quite kindly said that he'd give us a signed copy. We get a signed copy of the book over, and that will be in a members kind of the wheel of doom spinny wheel where we put all the members in, and then the winner gets a free signed copy of Gary's book. But the book is available, and there's lots of things that Gary will not say on here or any other podcast or any other interview, because it's important to buy his book. So it's quite important that to get the full story and the full inside Wheel of Doom, the full inside story of Gary's amazing career and behind the scenes, then it is called Young Millsy. Young Millsy? Is that any better?
No, that was worse. I was happy.
I'm going to be practicing it all night.
Should have stopped at your first attempt, Dina. Okay, so that's where they can get a copy, and they'll all be signed. And if they want, I can personalise them as well, if they request that.
Wow. Okay, you can't get fairer than that. So if you go and buy it from any other outlet,
we'll do that.
It's going to be a straight book. And you can have a very personalised book if you get it from here. Millsy, your management career, 11 clubs.
Yeah.
What was your style? Did you take? Very impressive. Very impressive. Seeing this. Was your style?
Sorry, I didn't mean that. Dino. I didn't mean.
You played under a few managers, okay? So maybe you picked up a bit of something from everyone. Is that the case, or did you kind of always have your own style? Did you always think you were going to go into management?
Yeah, I always wanted to. I was starting to be a bit more opinionated with things that were sort of happening, decisions that the gaffer was making that I was playing for at the time. And I would never go and say, you shouldn't do it like that. But inside, I was thinking, this isn't right. I don't agree with that. And so, yes, I learnt so much from every manager, and I played under some good ones, and not all good, some managers, a couple of managers I played for, I thought, no, I don't ever want to be like you.
Name and shame.
I don't want to do things. I don't want to do things that way,
Name and shame.
God mercy. No, I'm not going to.
Gary Did you say Gary Megson then? Did you say Gary Megson?
No, I didn't say Gary Megson.
No.
You can't.
He said Harry Pegson. Harry Pegson.
The guy was bought by Forest as a player, never made an appearance, and all of a sudden, a few years later, he comes back as manager, and we wish he'd never made an appearance again.
Yeah. There's a few like that.
Gary was one of those players that couldn't handle the way the gaffer was, and as a player, and he was like scared stiff was probably a bit strong, but that's. Yeah. He was so nervous, He was so the gaffer made him so nervous, and he had to go in the end,
I love it when FFTV digs up the dirt. I really do.
But sometimes you can learn what not to do just as much as what to do, can't you?
Yeah.
Absolutely that. But I loved it, I loved managing. I loved all of it. But I always wanted to do that. I didn't want to coach.
Have you done with management now, Gary, or have you any thoughts that you might want to get back? I mean, you're fit.
I don't think my wife's listening, but
I won't say anything.
Yeah. I do, but it gets tougher, and.
Well, let's face it. Roy Hodgson's just got back to be a Premier League manager, and he's 75, so we've got years to go on it.
Yeah. I know. Never say never. I'd love to. If the right club come along and sort of at the level that I sort of know that I don't want to go any lower than.
A couple of quick fire questions for you, a bit more fun. What's your transfer value if you were playing today?
Oh.
Come on, join in. What would Gary be worth today?
Gary, and your salary as well.
And salary.
Yeah, your salary, yeah.
Say again, Gary.
Salary. I say Anthony can answer what I'm worth, to be fair. He used to watch
me, so
maybe he can...
Anthony, what's he worth?
I'd go 60 mil.
Really?
60
mil. That's got to be worth a good salary then.
It's way more than 19 mil. I wonder who you're talking about, Crypto.
Salary-wise, I think you're looking at minimum 150k a week. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But that's modern Premier League football. Gary was a top-level footballer who won 2 European Cups, captained Leicester, made 700 appearances. We're talking about a proper footballer here.
Yeah.
So if you compare with what's around at the moment, then
people say to us, I sort of finished when the Bosman ruling come in and all the money sort of started coming into the players, and there was no transfer fees, and the transfer fees were going to the players, so missed out on all of that.
Gary, you better block my number on your phone because I can talk to you about it, mate. Oh,
it's gone. See, what have you done, Ant? You've done it again. You always upset everybody, or the guests, anybody. You go off on one, you make a bloody... And it... Oh, Ant.
I know. All I mentioned was the fact that...
the end is near.
All I mentioned was the fact that, I ring him and talk to him about... He's gone.
He might not come back this time now. Thank you, Martin. He's back. But we did get a bit of intel from your wife, Sue, that she didn't even like footballers before she met you, and still doesn't. Did you know that?
Did
I
you
do.
know that?
Yeah.
Of course, I know that.
Well, you know, it might just be something that's one of those 40-year secrets.
I said to Gary, well, there must have been at least one you liked. He went, oh, yes, one.
On that note, Gary, it's been a
Thank you.
pleasure for Ant and I. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
It's been lovely.
Much love, my friend.
It's been lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been lovely.
And show Gary some love. Thank you, Gary. I really appreciate it. And see you guys later. Thanks in the chat for keeping us entertained again.